number of people amongst ourselves within the cadreship of RPF or outside or anywhere else, because fighting corruption is not something you expect to do perfectly or to achieve to the extent that at a certain point you have no corruption 100% and everything is okay. It doesn't happen like that. That is the reality. Much as therefore we are very idealistic in many cases, in equal measure we are also very realistic. We understand this world, we understand society, we understand our obligations in my view, in my point of view. So the purpose, therefore, I don't know why people would have gotten all kinds of messages or interpretations of what I was talking about, because I talked about issues of mismanagement, issues of embezzlement, issues of different kinds of bad behavior in our leadership, in the leadership at different levels of government, of RPF, and so on. And even singled out specific cases and individuals, and these would not have been the only ones people could single out. There are probably many more others, but you address things as, time is available and opportunity. You may use one example, punish one example to try and, give a warning to others and seek to have a realignment of thinking and action of different people along the way. So that's what happened. Really, it wasn't meant for a particular individual, even for that person who was singled out that day or another. It was not so much about them. It was about reminding everyone of the responsibility we have to make sure that our country lives by the principles we have really all agreed for many years past, and what the liberation in that sense means to us or may mean to others. So it was that opportunity, that moment, I thought I need to put things clear. Some of the things I had noticed at different times had been getting out of the way, and they are on a collision course with what we've set out to do for our country and with our people, and which also has a huge cost to many things in terms of development. As you saw, even the Auditor General and other leaders were elaborating on, things that we lost, that we should not have lost, and I was making the interpretation of what that means. So much lost means many other things lost, including lives. If you don't have medicines in hospitals that would have treated people because somebody stole the money that was supposed to buy medicines, or if people steal money that was supposed to buy fertilizer or different things that would have improved agriculture, so that people we can be food secure and so on. It means you are depriving Rwandans of this opportunity, and therefore you are really taking away, it's like you are taking their lives so simply like that as to be wasted. So that was the purpose. And again, even in trying to correct these things, I pointed out how, in many cases, the institution is responsible to ensure that there is this rule of law, good governance, also sometimes fall short by getting involved in some of these malpractices. I even talked about the judiciary and others. I gave examples. And so I thought I did not have any better way of expressing all this to the people than what I did. So I don't see why people would have got confused. Now, are we still together? Okay. So for the young people and then my own self, my role here and there, well, I don't see it as my fault to be trying to do what I can do. But I'm a human being with certain limitations in my capacity, certainly including that I can't create people. I can only try to influence people. I can talk to young people. I can try to inspire them. I can tell them my experience and share them with everything that I can share with them. But I have no solution of instructing anyone to do what they should be doing, or I cannot say, no, you do this and you succeed, you do this, you fail. I do not have such a powers, and I don't think anyone has. But what we do is to try and just be ourselves and do things and try to match what we do with what we generally discuss and find as the right thing to do. And sometimes we point to the progress that has been made because of doing things in a certain way. But as you also started saying, you are in the same room, you're having the same conversation, the interpretation is going to be different with the different people. So maybe even seizing this opportunity so that we make progress to the point that when I'm no longer there, which is a certainty, by the way, that at one point I will not be there. We can either count months or years or something, but it will be one time that I'm not there and there is somebody else. And even that one who comes after me, there is a time they won't be there, and so on and so forth. That's something that is beyond our control or our power. Being there is always going to be temporary, but how long is what we can maybe talk about, but it's only that long that you can be there. So for the young people, when we are trying to invest as a country in our young people, for their education, for their health, for making sure that they feel secure and comfortable and happy in their own country, I think with this, it's never going to be a wasted moment. It's always going to produce these same people who can come after me or after anybody else when we have served our time, and do their own part, do better, do things differently. But that's how society continues. We can always believe that the investments we have made is not a waste of time. But again, we can't also assume that just because we said so, or because we invested, and because we have always discussed these things, that things are going to automatically be what we want them to be. So it's always a different kind of struggle that every society, every country, every people, wherever you go in the world, we'll always go through these things, and we're not going to be different. So what happens after me, well, if things go wrong, I think people will be able to tell a difference, that it is the wrong on the hands of somebody else, not on my wrongs. That count me responsible for what I do wrong when I'm still there. So for the corruption part or issues of governance, I talked about last time at the RPF gathering. The intention was, first of all, it's not the first of its kind. We have had these many discussions before. And along the path of liberation which we talked about, we have always tried to identify ourselves with good governance. And one of the central things we talked about was to fight corruption or bad governance as we go forward in this liberation journey. It's in the history of RPF. It's not a new creation. It's not something I invented yesterday. It's an RPF belief and principle.